Hello, everybody. I see the dogs fighting in my background. I'm like, okay, well, that's gonna be a great stream. Yeah, I wasn't planning on streaming, but thought like, hey, I just finished the session and just feel like talking for a bit before I do another one. And I'm gonna go make my soup soon, so just something to do. So, yeah, for me, just a quickie, I wasn't planning on streaming, so I'm all over the place. And I'm hearing myself twice, so just a second. There we go. Yeah, so let me know if the audio is okay. It's gonna be like quickie, but I just wonder like what are people like up to today? Because like I've been like looking into getting out of body. A lot of like clients I have like, hey, how do I get out? What do I do? And then it's all about the effort they put in. I just like also finished like making a quick video on things that are stopping people from getting out, and how actually a lot of these labors are in a way limiting us, stopping us from using our powers to get more out of life. And hey, Nika, still here. So good to see you. So good to see you. Nice. How are you doing, Nika? Hope you're okay. DCE, here's my favorite person. I'm surprised you're here. Nice. Chris is saying, I watch your videos mostly to hear your unique experiences in the astral realm because that's where we go after this life. Thank you. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. It's like, uh, I'm all over the place today, so I would say excuse me for that, but that's who I am. Like, I'm always like sort of all over the place. But yeah, astral projection, out of body experiences, and what happens after this life. It's so much that people don't know or are not aware of, and I wish people would get out of body more often or use their visuals for creation just to see the difference. Like, for me, I'm still learning on how to put things in a perspective, and like I mentioned in the video I made today, but out of body experiences, astral travel, astral projection, lucid dreaming, dreaming, visualization, quantum jumping, and other things, eventually it goes into one and sort of the same. Like, it's not all the same. It doesn't mean like it's all same thing. No, there are differences. But if people were able to experience one or the other in a way where even this visualization, if they could use it for something and get the advantages, not just like to daydream, not to just create the scenery and like, oh, that feels good, nice, and that's it, but for more, I don't know, getting in contact with someone. A lot of us like, oh well, I wish like we would like have a contact with aliens. I wish they would just show up, and that scenario is so unlikely because okay, well look through your window right now and just think, where are they gonna land? Like, okay, they show up. Where are they gonna land? And how are they gonna talk? Like, they don't talk in English. You know, it's more telepathic, but let's say, yeah, they land. And it's Grace. Or someone weird. And they're like, hello, like, they're gonna look weird. We're not used to seeing them. Most people are scared. Like, I know my grandparents would see them, they're gonna have a heart attack or something. It's like, what the hell? Get the shotgun. What are these guys? And if they're just gonna say like, well, we're here to help humans, we're gonna get you out, it's the extraction, and then government's like, they're talking about abduction, no one wants to get like, where are you taking people, like you're not saving them. So much gonna go in conflict, and that scenario is very unlikely, but people go in deserts by thousands and like do these events of contacting ETs and like seeing UFOs and oh look, light in the sky and little dots, and that's about it. That's like as satisfying as it can get for most people. Well, your visualization, your ability to sort of like visualize and think of the scenery and be there, the perception. Like, I'm still exploring the English language, I'm still trying to learn, but let's say hallucination and illusion, and then all of these things with lu, like in English etymology, it starts with Leuk, but lu means light. It's all about perception. It's all about seeing. So everything around us, even if it's delusion, it's what we're seeing. And it goes into, well, how do you describe reality? It's all about, like, by our definition, it is our, perception, like all of these, like, okay, I can see, I can hear, I can smell, I can touch, and it's all of our perception is interpreted by the nervous system. Great. Well, more people, different people, have much better perception. and they can see beyond physical. To them, talking to someone that they can hear and see around them is real as can be. For them is their reality. If someone can't see them, like, oh, you're delusional, you're just thinking shit up. Well, no, they're experiencing it 100%. And people who can visualize, I've met so many people who are maladaptive daydreamers. That's the label we're going to put on them today. But boy, they can see the surroundings. They can visualize, think of a place, be there. And not just like, like daydreaming, like, oh, I'm going to think of this and that's about it. Like, no, they're fully there. They can interact with the surroundings. They can touch leaves on the bush and like, oh wow, like it's so freaking real. Like I can feel it. And they can have a little cut and everything else, and it's gonna be full experience over there in their little reality, their little visualized world. But they're fully out. It's an out of body experience. This consciousness shifting into that realm. So when they're there and they have perception and they feel everything, to them it's real because their brain says, hey, I can perceive everything, I can touch things, I can smell things, I'm there. It is real. Well, great, so like there's a lot of these conflicts with what is real and everything else, and eventually it's all our imagination. It all starts from seeing things. From my perspective, and like I'm still exploring the subject and I can be completely wrong to put it in that way. But that being said, a lot of people that go into deserts that want to like, oh, contact ETs and talk to aliens, well, literally think of a place like your own little reality. Where would you like to talk to this alien guy or someone, right? And just, what would that place look like if you were to have a conversation with an ET right now? So for some, it's like going to be the room. For some, it's going to be like, oh, well, I would just like a nice little, let's say, office room or a couch or something. Like, it's just like a perfect place to have a conversation with those beings. And once you have your visuals, once you're exploring that place, once you're like there visually, you can sort of see everything. Maybe even like, oh wow, the couch is pretty soft and nice. Cool. And I can feel the cushions and everything else. Really good. And so for those people that have that more perception than others, and it is a trained muscle, everyone has this. You just have to work it, use it more, and you're definitely going to have it all. So once you start using it more, think of an ET that you would like to talk to. Instead of going into the desert and paying thousands of bucks and just like, okay, I'm going to rent a hotel and look into the sky and do something and hopefully someone will come and I'll see the lights in the sky. Great. No. Like literally think of what kind of ET would you like to talk to? What are they all about? Some people have sort of like in out-of-body experiences contacted reptilians that are not that bad. They're actually good. They're actually nice. So like any kind of life form that you are interested in talking to, you think of it in that space. If it's like, fuck ETs, I want to talk to someone I love, go for that too, but you don't have to go too much. It's just, okay, think of that being in that space, their beingness. What are they all about? Their core, the essence. Not the looks, not necessarily the looks, because you can invite the looks, and a lot of beings are used to having other bodies and shapes and forms out there, and they will try to meet us in the middle by what we're used to seeing. A lot of these ETs, they teach us and they give us the ideas and knowledge by concepts that we will have an easier time understanding. Even when I get out of body and when I do sessions with people, a lot of things what I'm getting is just tons of visuals. I'm seeing things. It's really hard to put it in words and explain it normally. Like I have a really hard time, like, how am I going to explain this? I have understanding of what happened, I see it, but to put it in words for people will be harder. So for me, it's a lot of visual understanding. Other people might be more sensory, might be by hearing. You will get out of body, or let's say you visualize, and all of a sudden your knowledge comes by hearing someone talk, and they will talk to you and teach you, and a lot of times it's just going to be the downloads of information and knowledge. So with this ability, like literally, you can think of any being, and again, the essence. Let's say you want to meet like someone you were working with in your past life, a good one, what are they all about? What would describe them? Like, why would you decide to be with them? And let's say, okay, well, they're really intelligent. They care about life. They want to, let's say, elevate consciousness, help people who are stuck and are into reincarnation traps and everything else, like get them out of them. And this group that does it, like you define their essence, what they're all about, you think of them, and invite this being into that little place you have created. And of course, you being the god, And the same as creating video games or something else, you can be the programmer, so you set the rules for that realm and who can enter that place. So you can of course like think of, okay, no entities, no beings are gonna mess and lie and everything else. They're not allowed. It's gonna be your own scanning, so it's gonna be protected. But then you can sort of define who can be in that space and just invite them. And here it is. There's that being, sort of like being okay in their looks that you can confront, and then you can talk to them. Like think of various questions to ask, and also think of the best way you can sort of like get the information. For me, it's visuals. For other people, it can be like, no, pure knowledge and knowing. Like all of a sudden, they will just know more. And a lot of you probably have experienced how all of a sudden you hear something, like you even hear me talking, and you have this like inner lie detector, inner bullshit detector, and you hear me talk and like you can say it's all bullshit, or damn, I have never experienced that in this life, but I know it's true. Damn. Like you listen to some people and it will just sound like the core truth that you know and understand deep inside, even though you have never heard it. Like, oh, I don't know if it's really real, but I can totally agree with that. And you will have this thing. So with these beings that you talk to, you know, you can sort of like identify when they're gonna say something to you. You have this inner lie detector and a bullshit detector that will tell you if what they're saying is real or not. And you can definitely sort of relate, get information, learn, or sort of like, ah, okay, just like I just kind of invited like a weird being. Now what do I do? So with these, like, you know, it's I'm learning of a much easier way for people to contact beings they want to talk to and get something out of it, instead of, you know, going places in the physical body and paying a lot of money and other things. It's literally, for me, it right now all ends up to visualizing, getting into that place and talking to beings. I've been guiding quite a few people to do it, and I've seen them do it successfully. Like, I was just so surprised where one of my, I don't know, like, I would call him a friend, like, we've talked, like, we had 30 hours or more hours of work together, and it's been like working on his life, his physical body, and just taking care of earthly issues, so to speak. And all of a sudden, like, he talks like, hey, well, I would really like to talk to this, you know, being that I know I was with in a past life. And like, I'm like, can you see stuff? Like, how are your visuals? And he's just like, yes, it's pretty good. Like, it's okay, it's decent. So we end up with, okay, well, think of that place. We do the usual remove anything from your space that might get in the way. So entities and the beings, like giving them permission to leave, using the little box methods. So like, there are tons of tools and ways to do it. But for me, like, okay, this is just like basic general. Anything from your space needs to be removed currently that might get in the way. Next, think of a place and visualize the place you would like to be at, and you know, talk to that being, and then invite the being in, and then you talk to them. So I've seen him successfully do it. I've seen others successfully do it, and it's like, it's so simple. It's so simple. Like all the things in life that are seen to be so fundamental and having such a massive impact in life. People are like, okay, well, how do I get better? It's like, breathe, control your mind and what you focus on, and visualize. Like literally, like simple things like that. You know, like, to me, it reminds, like, a lot of people have a goal or something they want to achieve. And in Kung Fu terms, or let's say martial arts, sometimes there are just like 4 to 5 or 3 key fundamental moves that you're gonna do, and you can win any fight. And people are like, keep doing that fundamentals, and they're like, they get bored. They think like, oh yeah, okay, but where's the good stuff? Show me the good stuff. And like, all of a sudden, we need some magical, super powerful stuff, and, you know, work hard for it, and a super duper technique that no one knows about, or something you're gonna pay thousands of dollars like to get. And all of a sudden, like, no. You don't need all that. Like, it's just like visualization. That's all. Like, you know, like, so for me, there are tons of tools, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just like, okay, I found something easy that works for a lot of people. So anyway, that's me. That's my world right now. But yeah. So I'm gonna scroll up, see what you people are talking about. Hey Zachary. Yeah, I'm gonna check Skype after this, and you have sent the carrier pigeons, but they might have gotten eaten by... Damn! Poor pigeons. Poor pigeons, man. Okay, so I'm just taking my time reading comments. Okay, so Item Mul is saying, so I have been at this one guy that let me burn a paper with words in it. He said it was a healing thing. The paper were fold and had a thread connected to it. Anyway, I think it was a Trojan horse. And I feel like he's spying on me. Like, so how can I disconnect from him? And I feel like I keep restoring backwards. I feel like I keep restoring backwards on some of my spiritual work, and it sucks. I did a two-step, and the first was burn paper and breathe in the second. Okay, yeah. All right. So, yeah, burning paper is pretty powerful because it does involve like earthly rituals, in a way. So we can create rituals in their own ways, and it can be of power. But let's say, yeah, just a quickie. What will it be? This is gonna work. Okay. Villa doing the basics. So let's say this is your paper. There's a thing I used to do with soul contracts, and some people like they like the physical work better than just worldly and mentally thing. But let's say you have agreements that you make in life or soul contracts, and I'm just gonna go a bit all over the place, but I will talk to you, Aiden. So what you do is like, let's say you draw a line. Yay, we have a line. So the paper is split in two halves. The left line will be, let's say, it's something that limits you in this life. And let's say, okay, so I am snoozy, or like I don't know, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't get out of body, I don't have good visuals, I'm having a hard time manifesting things, I'm stuck, everything's going backwards, and I'm not getting anywhere spiritually and all this stuff. So let's say things like that, I'm just like sort of like randomly naming some of these things. You write them down on one side, all negative, like things that will limit you, things that are like getting in the way. You write them down on one side. Negative. I don't know if you can see it, but let's say you can write down that. Wait, where is it? There we go. Negative stuff over there. Holy shit. There we go. No, this way. Okay. So this side will have negative stuff, and this side will have positive. So I'm great. I have great visuals. I can get out of body at any time. I'm manifesting things super easy. Like, it's way too easy for me to manifest stuff. So I have this little paper. One will have the positive stuff. One will have the negative stuff. And what you do is like, okay, now that you have this little paper and you have the sides and you wrote down, let's say, every negative thing you write, you counter it with the positive. So if you have hard time visualizing, if you have other issues, you write down the negatives on one side, positives on the other side. Now what you do is like, it's like an agreement. So you tear the paper in half. So we have positive half, negative half, negative half. All of your agreements that are limiting you and all the stuff, you go and, okay, you do it, I don't know, you fold it, you burn it, you tear it all apart. Don't keep it. If you keep it, you're still sort of agreeing and letting those things stay in your space. Even like, okay, so you have to burn it and stuff. I'm not gonna burn anything live. But, so that's something I used to do once in a while, and that seemed like, it's a belief. It's the same people as they have a relationship and all of a sudden they have a divorce or fall apart and they hate on the partner, and then they find a photo or their item and they start destroying it. It's like energetically, like, that movement and the thinking, the intention of getting rid, and like, fuck you, and you just break their favorite cup and like, yeah, and like all of a sudden you get like happy about it. Like, it's an energetical release. So that's a good thing. Now, going for being at someone's place and they just give you to burn the paper with words in it saying it's good, do you know what kind of words were in there? Who wrote to it? Like, because there's a lot in signing your own stuff, writing your own agreements and all, but if someone else writes it to you, and it can be like, oh, it's a positive thing, just like, like take it and burn it, and you haven't even read what's in it, that guy is like, oh yeah, and like they're looking at your good stuff, so they put in, I am God, I'm powerful, I can visualize, I'm good, I'm getting forward in life, and everything that was sort of like lift you up and get you forward in life, now it says positive, but you burn it. So that would be like, did you even see what's in the paper, what's written, what was in there? If not, not good. Like, you're just like, it's same as doing that blood over intent or something like that. And a lot of people just go in, buy stuff, agree to it without knowing what's in it. So, first red flag from my side. But the other side is like, okay, even if you did that ritual and it felt like, like, it felt good, like a good idea, but now I kind of regret it. Again, put the intention of everything I did as regards that paper, all the words in it, I have the intention to cancel that out. I no longer agree to anything that I did, and I don't know, like you can even take a little paper and write down what you would like it to be. Not necessarily what will happen, but in a positive of, okay, I'm strong, I feel great, I am safe, whatever you like. Next thing, you feel like, all the spiritual work you've been doing is going backwards. I've made a video about the Prillians. It's a group of bird like entity beings. They were once good, but then AI corrupted them that they created and kind of like turned back. And now they're pretty much doing the opposite of the good stuff. So they're all into the subatomic things, quantum physics, and pretty much just like any kind of progress you have, they're gonna undo it. If you notice in life where you're getting better, you're getting stronger, you're learning things, you're like, oh, finally this product is working, and boom, fails again and again and again. What happens is like you put a lot of spiritual work or effort and attention and time, and these guys will just undo it. It's kind of like being put back consciously in the place where nothing ever happened. You did the physical actions, you put a lot of effort and everything else, but it didn't count. It's just like, nope. And you feel like, hey, well, I did that thing and nothing happened. Well, yeah, their work, they're making it sure, like, like it's as if you have never done a thing. So I would look and address Brilliant Group, possibly. Like, for some people, it might be a thing. And again, look at your agreements on how you see reality. Like, right now, you're telling yourself, like, all the spiritual work I've been doing, it feels like it's going back. It's restoring back to where it was. So it is your belief, current belief and experience with it. It's going back, it's going backwards, I'm not getting better, and my spiritual work doesn't work and all. So what you're telling yourself, what you're experiencing and feeling, it is your agreement about current reality. So literally, old story. You have to change it. You have to change it to new one. Like, hey, finally I'm moving ahead in life, I'm getting what I want, I'm good at stuff, and like just change it with the opposite but good, opposite positive, so to speak, and see if that works. So I would just go for that. I'm not sure if it's gonna help you out, but like you can definitely try it out. Excel is asking, will the deep scan purchase done by you involve an entity removal? I do it. Like, on a quick scan, it's just like, okay, I see your story and I will go into like what's going on. On a deep scan, I'll do some of the work. Not all. I will do it and I will tell you, okay, well, here's what I did, here's what I saw, and some of the things you can do yourself. I like the perspective where I don't just remove the issues for you because in the first place, even if I remove it for you, a lot of people will keep on doing the things that attracted the issues in the first place. So I might do it and you will continue doing the bad stuff that will return the entities and stuff that you had in the first place. So because of that, I would much rather teach you a technique on what you can do to remove them at any time, and maybe some of the things you can change to get rid of things that will attract them into your space. So there's that. Like I saying that she knows about knowing, but it's much harder because of the information and visuals, and it's so easy to doubt yourself. Yeah, as regarding the self doubt, it is a thing. One thing I would check on is a lot of people will have, let's say, the beingness, the entity, the personality in their space that is the doubter. It's like, just think of someone being there and like, no, it's like having a little spy with you, having a part that might belong to you or you have agreed to have at some point, and they're hanging out, but they're gonna doubt everything you're doing. And it's like an infiltrate, hijack, consolidate. Like when you're getting to the good stuff, it will be the fake doubt in a way where, okay, you're getting out of body, you're doing things, you're learning things, you're seeing, and like, oh wow, that's so cool. I got out of body, or I visualized, and it feels like I'm just getting loads of information, and it's so cool. But is it real though? Is it the truth? And okay, so your inner lie detector or the bullshit knower doesn't work. It just doesn't catch on, and you have this doubt coming in. Well, you have to make sure that whatever gives that doubt isn't there to sabotage you. Like, oh no, you shouldn't look at that stuff. Like you should just like, no, go back to whatever you were doing, so to speak. So I would first think of it like, okay, maybe an entity, maybe a beingness in my space that might get in the way or sort of try to discourage me, sort of make sure that if I'm getting into that, I know it, I'm good, I'm powerful, and someone's like, no, 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 you should doubt yourself, you shouldn't go too ahead of yourself and all that, I would like to remove that part. But, of course, you have experienced a lot throughout your existence, so I would just sort of like try to look at the same thing from different perspectives. Like even talk to that. Like let's say if you're looking at the concept of, you maybe have seen the entity or an ET and you have had a conversation with them and you're not sure if what you're saying are true. Like, okay, talk to the beings that entity or being knows. Let's say we're talking to a gray alien, for example. Like it's just going to be an example. Like, so you're talking to a great alien, and the gray alien knows 5 other grays, and it's gonna be A, B, C, D, and E. So we're gonna have those guys, and okay, so like we're talking to this gray alien, and what does A think as regards of what the gray said? What does B think as regards of what that guy said? And once you ask everyone's perspective, how they view the same situation, how they see it, you can have like more input and like, okay, better point of view, like I like it, I have more things to go at it, and you just go with it. Another thing I do, I program, like let's say everything I touch with my left hand when I'm out of body will give me the knowledge, or I can access their Akashic records. So if I'm talking to a being, or if I'm touching any item, or if there's a space that I can touch, let's say I'm in a spaceship and it's all fucked up and I'm like, what happened here? And I can touch a wall and it's like all of a sudden I'm thrown back in time into the incident moment of what's going on and what can I see and experience throughout that moment. So I'm touching the wall and 5 minutes ago, like a missile just hit the wall and everything exploded and I'm seeing a few people dying or just evacuating from the ship. I'm like, okay, so that's what happened. So you can program yourself with, okay, whenever I touch something, I will receive the information or I will be moved back to that moment to see if it really happened. So for me, doing these sessions, I have to come in as a blank slate, which means everything I know, everything I think and believe is no longer a thing. I am not there. But I'm going to be a point of view, and whenever I'm working with people, I'm going to access information from any point. Let's say right now a person has issues with getting out of body, they're being limited, and they will have like sort of like limited awareness, or they will have this doubt coming in. So I'm gonna like, okay, well, I'm gonna touch the person and ask myself, where's the doubt coming from? And boom, I'm like sort of like jumping all of a sudden, like not really moving or flying, but all of a sudden like it's like teleportation to a certain moment where there's a group of people talking like, well, hey, we don't want that being exploring and knowing too much. And we really get a lot of loosh from their doubt and this like fear and worrying. So we want to make sure we continue on that, and they shouldn't be going ahead of themselves, so to speak. So I'm moved in that moment where they're having the conversation, where they decide what they're gonna do with the person. And I'm like, okay, so these few people got together and they're using direct energy weapons and other things to project on the person to affect their thinking and feeling states. And now that's how I see the situation. And then I can touch each being and say, or sort of put a command on finding something out, or putting my hand on them and accessing their Akashic records. And then I can view everything that they have experienced up until that moment and see previous conversations, decisions made, people they have talked to, and so on and so forth. So yeah, each and every one of you can do it. It's literally something I have programmed myself with. Like, okay, when I'm getting out of body and I use my left hand and I'm gonna put the intention, like, find out the truth or access the Akashic records and other things. So, all of you can do it if you, like, let's say, you don't even need to have the ability to get out. Visualization. Simply like, okay, every time I touch someone with my left hand and have the intention to access information, I will. Now, you visualize a person or a space, and you can literally practice, okay, think of location, any random location beyond Earth. Let's say, like, little nice forest, and there's a campfire. Like, oh, look. And you literally, like, okay, now you put your hand close to the campfire, and all of a sudden you see visuals. Who was there? Who created the fire? And other things. So, like, you can see visuals and practice little by little until you can access more points and see if that works. So, that's something I'm doing, and for me it's pretty easy, but I've trained myself to do it. So there's that. Infinite Corridors is saying, I've been studying Law of Assumption and Neville Goddard, and I'm now changing my life with manifestation. Anything is possible with Law of Assumption. Yep, so right. Everyone that's over here that hasn't heard of Neville Goddard or haven't studied him yet, please look it up. It's probably like the best thing you can find here on Earth. And applying his teachings and practicing it, it's life changing. It's life changing. I know, like, for me, I have to, like, sort of, like, train myself to do it more often. Because little situations, like, let's say I have a neighbor that just hates dogs. And I'm just going, like, okay, I'm on the 10th floor, so I'm gonna get into the elevator, go down, and then she's gonna be on the first floor getting into the elevator, and then she's gonna yell at me, like, oh, you didn't know that no dogs are around, blah, 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 blah. You know, she's gonna express herself in her hate. And that experience is like, you know, like, got to handle this person again. Like, I don't like being yelled at. She does not know the laws as regarding having dogs and everything else, and I read upon it. So, a lot of things to say and to feel and to express, and I'm just gonna walk away and, like, feeling icky. You know, like, I didn't like that experience. And, you know, the more I focus on it, the more I'll be in that moment, or, oh, the things I could have said, the things I could have done. It's just gonna keep replaying the situation and attract more of the same. And so the more I'm gonna focus on that little incident that wasn't that significant in my life, the more I'm gonna attract of, oh look, more people around my space that hates dogs and target like us, like, oh, what the fuck, man. And then all of a sudden I'm gonna flip. Oh, people love my dog. I'm so happy, like, I'm just going for walks and, like, oh look, people are admiring my dog. And I noticed, like, the other day, me and my brother, we went to the store and everything else, and there's one store that allows dogs, and we just had so many people just wanting to come and pet one of my dogs and, you know, giving so much love and compliments all over the place. I go into the elevator, I meet neighbors that are like, hey, love your dog, Lice, and they're not even afraid to step in close and stuff. And I'm talking about cute little puppies that are, like, freaking huge. So, anyway, yeah, Law of Assumption, Neville Goddard. It's such a significant thing. So, if you haven't read about it, please look it up. Andromeda is asking, how can I pull back all my shards and altars to me? To me, it would be just identify all of them. Let's say, okay, shards is a generality. Define the shard. What does it mean to you? What does it do? How would it affect you if it was in your space, within you, or outside of you? How does it affect you? How does it affect you while not having it, or even alters? Okay, well, having an alter with me, having a different personality, having different beingness that will just pop up. All of us can, you know, change faces and masks and our beingness depending on the circumstances, day, mood, and everything else. We can be in this, like, oh, look, I feel confident, or right now I'm all over the place, I'm talking fast, and all of a sudden, I'm talking clear. It's a whole different beingness, you know, different personality, so to speak. It changes. And back to normal of talking a little faster and everything else. Like, so it's like that. You just define it for yourself. And for me, defining, putting a label is for you to know what you're dealing with. And literally think first if you want those within your space. Because, let's say, our fragments, shards, and even alters, as you're gonna get it to yourself, you're trapping them within yourself. You're trapping them. And I'm talking about, if you don't like forced incarnation, if you don't like being here, if you're feeling like you're stuck and like, I hate this place, I don't want to be here, why would a part of you, an alter, a shard, a fragment would want to be here? It doesn't. So you pulling it back here, trapping it within yourself, making them stay while they don't want it, you know, that's one thing to look at. Another part, you know, you can get them back, but in a way where you address it. Okay, here's my altar. You put define the altar that knows it all. Okay, talk to it. Ask it, like, hey, can I just sort of, like, let's say, download your knowledge and have your information on what you know without you being here? Can I just, like, have the same understanding and a different point of view maybe, and even offer help. Like, hey, altar, how can I help you? And just give something back instead of I'm gonna pull it all back and trap them in here, and now they're gonna be all fucked up, and I'm gonna feel worse. But I at least I have them. So that's my take on it. Wow. Quadro is saying, Aquila, please, have you visited the Astral City and the Astral Museum at the High Astral Plane? It's where most inventors like Tesla, Edison got their inventions from, and the museum contains both past and the future inventions. I don't think I've been in that specific one you're talking about. Like, let's say, Akasha Crackers and different planes out there, you can get all of it, so to speak, but the things I'm interested in and I'm learning and looking at are way different. So that might be something to look at, like in the future, or like, hey, look into those little projects, or maybe from their perspective. That might be neat. Miguel Gomez is asking, hi, what importance do you give to the energy state of a person in order to have crystallized astral body? Thank you. Uh, Zero. Like, for me, creating the crystallized astral body would be creating a new beingness. Let's say, when I shift, when I leave, what would I like it to be? A thing to remember is that anything here on Earth, your case, how you feel, your issues, everything, once you leave, you will get rid of it. It won't be connected with you. So even if you're feeling depressed, like you're trapped, you're worried, there's a lot of things going on in the world, it scares you, your body's limited, you might have disabilities, you might have dementia coming up and Alzheimer's and other things, and I don't want to live here, I'm afraid, and I want to get out. Creating crystallized body, getting out of body and everything else, it's creating new beingness or shifting into something that's great, like greater in the way where your physical case is not connected. So all of these things that are going on with you here physically, even your energetic state, you might have low energy, you might have like acidic body and everything else. Once you leave, it's not going to be with you. It's going to be calm. It's going to be just perception, knowingness. So think of your crystallized body as a new beingness or a new little body you're going to shift into and be at, and just create it connected like better. Okay, crystallized astral body, program it, can like create it in the better of what would you like to have, all the best things, no limits, no things of, oh, it doesn't smoke and it doesn't feel that, like, no, 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 it's free of that. It's best possible aspect of you, so to speak. So once you leave, you're in that great state, you're not like affected by the physical body. So for me, it's like, don't really care about the energy state. Like here on Earth, it's very important, but when you leave, not really, doesn't matter. You can literally have an alcoholic drug addict that has been messing up their whole life, that's feeling like shit every day, but when they leave, they're gonna be fine. All of the stuff that they have experienced on Earth won't affect them. So, doesn't really matter. Jetra is asking, are thoughts real incidents that happen in other universes? That's a good way to put it, yeah. Um, from, from, from one way to look at it, I would say yeah. A lot of what we're thinking, how we're acting, behaving, even like physical body, like having little fears and, like, oh, I'm afraid of this and all this stuff, that would be connected to your past lives and all. John Roberts is saying, I can't actually see it, but I have almost full faith in the galactic vacuum when I see it because it feels like it's working. That's the most important part. You know, I'm talking about visualizing and all those amazing techniques and everything else, and it's, of course, tools, possible tools for you to use. You don't have to see it all. You don't have to, like, oh, I know about it, I have seen it, I have experienced it. It's just like feeling it, if you feel like little techniques you're doing and trying out, you might not have full confidence. Like, okay, I'm pulling away chords from myself, or there Aquila describes some weird entity. What's that? Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna put it in the imaginary box. Aquila, what? Okay, imaginary box. Okay, and you feel better. All of a sudden, lighter. Like you might not have full trust in the technique or real understanding or ways to visualize, but all of a sudden you feel lighter, more relieved, better. That's all that matters. Like eventually all of the techniques that you can put together, let's say with meditation and visualization and getting out of body and soul contract removal, entity removal, anything you put in together, works or not, as long as you have results, that's all that matters for me. So there. Jet was also saying, I have a vivid imagination and I can create imaginary worlds, characters, stories in my head, and I just want to know if all of what I'm imagining is real and is actually happening somewhere. 100%. Yes. That's that's a really good thing, and also for some people that might not have full awareness and knowledge, it's gonna be a little pain in the ass, because same way we think of our greater self or higher aspects, we look at why are they not helping us? Why are they not helping us and giving us information? The heck, man. And it's the same as look at yourself right now and everything you are imagining and creating within, let's say, your mind vividly in that any space. You create it. It is real. You can talk to any of those beings and their stories will continue after you stop visualizing because you're the creator. You give them that God particle, you create worlds for them. They have personalities, they have lives, they have stories. You've created everything for them. They are real as can be. In that realm, in your reality, yes. But you pull away from that, they're still living. They're still there. And at any point in time, you can keep on coming back. Same thing with, let's say, I have a dream. And it can be continuous. Let's say I will fall asleep. I go into certain reality and there's some story there and I'm awake and I'm like, okay, like interesting. I know everything that happened previously in that life without me being there. As in, I had a body there and once I connected, I knew everything about me that has happened from the existence, like of me being there or from the time I was born or got in there. So let's say 20, 30, 40 years of knowledge, I know it all. I know all of my experiences, same as being walking, so to speak. And then I will wake up. And okay, I come back to this world and I fall asleep. Boom, back to that reality. And certain time could have passed or I can continue the story. But so that's like us dreaming and getting in certain worlds, connecting to the bodies we might have elsewhere. But same thing you have with vividly imagining and creating these beings and having their stories and the worlds and everything else. At any point in time, you can connect to them and be any of them or tune into that world and see what has changed since you have been gone. And it will have a continuous story and it will keep on going. Yes, it is totally real. Master Jew saying, hi Vakvila, I'm new to your channel but I love your videos. Really appreciate it. And, certain things you like, please leave in the comments because I'll make sure I'll do more of that. Nick is saying, makes perfect sense. When I adopt the information that I receive, it's usually something telling me that I couldn't possibly be this powerful, that I'm just a human. That's the worst part. This physical reality, life on Earth, and the systems are really limiting. Specifically with, let's say, imagination. I see it as our greatest power. But from the very time we were born up until now, let's say your parents are like, hey, stop talking to your imaginary friend. What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm gonna send you a nut house. And you're like, no, I can see them, I can hear them, I'm talking to them. It's a real blown thing. Parents are blaming their children for having imaginary friends or talking to their, let's say, toys and all this stuff. But kids can have a whole different perception. They can give life, and for them, they can have a being in there, having a conversation, or what we call imaginary friends, for example, will actually be real as can be. And you can see them, you can hear them, you can feel them and everything else. Other aspect. as like imagination. All of a sudden, like like by the current English, by the current understandings, stop imagining stuff. It's not real. Define real. And it's all about our perception and the way our brain interprets stuff by nervous signals. Well, okay, interpretations can be different. If your brain is affected differently, that's one thing. But if more people start agreeing with, like, hey, all of us are seeing this reality, like, more and more collectively people will start, let's say, tuning in, like visualizing, connecting to entities and beings and talking to them, and more will have like, hey, it was real for me. I could feel them, I could talk to them, I could smell them, like even like taste their food and all this stuff. And more people come together saying one thing. All of a sudden, this person that didn't experiencing, now they're crazy. So it's all about how many people need to get together to share the story that will make them like, okay, collectively, like, okay, whatever you're saying, I guess it's real. It's all about collective agreement right now. And it's really control the nerve. It's really like put in wrong ways, interpreted in the wrong ways, seen in the wrong ways. We don't really have full understanding. Like scientifically, it's really hard to explain all those things. Nikola Tesla was probably the closest to them all. And I can't recall his notes, but like when physics start like getting into spirituality and getting together and exploring that, we're gonna have a major shift. But for now, we're still stuck in the Stone Age, so to speak. Gabriel has a really good question. Hi, Aquila. Recently, I found out about Sims game and NPCs. My question is, do the Sims characters we encounter in our daily lives know that they are bots controlled by the Matrix program? No. Like, if they are self-aware, they're conscious. Most of them have zero self-awareness. Most of them can't tell anything. They will not ask these questions. They will not ponder, is this real? Am I real? Am I an NPC? If you're asking those questions, you're awake enough to not be that. A program doesn't question itself. So no, NPCs won't have it. Chris Torres is asking, will we have an easier time working on our issues in the astral realm? Well, that's like 50-50. How aware are you in the astral when you're out there, and how much control do you have? Physical problems you have here, you need to confront them and deal with them while being awake. You can work on things when you're in the astral, when you're out of body, but it will have minor effects. As in, like, yeah, it can affect your health, it can affect your feeling states. You can get rid of entities, agreements, and other things. That's gonna be really good. But then daily life, you still need to confront it and you still need to deal with it. So like for me, it's 50-50. I have done plenty in the astral and in out of bodies to see massive changes here. Specifically for me was maybe connecting and dealing with certain beings out there that will affect the physical. So for me, that's probably the biggest thing. But, like, of course, I haven't explored this as much as I should have, and I'm definitely like sure, if you do your like homework, so to speak, like find the good things that will affect your physical body or things that you're interested in, you can definitely get lots of benefits. Jax is saying, I am deaf, but am reading John DeSauza's book Clear Hearers about clairaudience right now. I have no psychic gifts at all. Jax, the only thing I would add is that it will be different to you. Everyone has it. Everyone has these abilities, but it's a muscle. I wouldn't call it a gift because no one gave it to you. You had it in the first place. You always had it. It's a skill. It's something you like naturally have. But being here on Earth, one is being deaf. Cool. You don't need the clear audience. You don't need to hear things. You can have clear sessions where you just know it, where you have like the information and knowledge downloading and like filling you up. You can have it all. Uh, so a lot of these things, skills, and everything I'm talking about, I've learned it. I have had to work on it. I know I can suppress it and I can turn it off, but if I work it, I can turn it back on. It's not easy. It's not the best thing, but hey, it's definitely like you can train yourself to see visuals, to see auras, to see like chakras and everything else, to see entities, talk to them, hear them, to not necessarily like hearing is one thing, but communicating telepathically is even better. So that would be my take on it. Anyway, people, probably last question, and I will be wrapping it up because I need to make dinner and everything else. Okay, so Nick is saying, sometimes when I try to connect to something home, I receive conflicting messages and I can't tell which is true. How would you suggest to deal with it? Okay. For me, when you connect to that home, when you connect to your space that you know better than your five fingers, you feel it, you see all this stuff, and when you're getting information, I would work on, you relax, you get out of body, or you just visualize going to that place. And put yourself at the time when you wanted to find something out. Let's say you want to know about, is it real or not? Is it like, specific things you want to learn, like, will they have certain emotions? Will they have certain information or the certain building? And you put yourself in time or in that space of like that area, your home, and let's say 5 years back or 5 years forward, and you were just gonna track down specific time or an incident that you're looking at. And don't just like I want to know if it's true. Move there. Look around, perceive things, look at things from perspective of a building, of an item, of a book, and other things, and boom, it's just gonna pop up. So for me, I confirm things by going back at certain places and events in time and just looking at it from there. It's like having a conversation, let's say, Anunnaki Canine, and like, okay, I'm having conversation with them, and they're telling me one thing, and I'm like, okay, like, all of a sudden I can't tell if it's true or not. So, for me, I can touch them. Or he had a conversation and he told me like, well, 5,000 years ago, this happened. And I'm like, okay, so that location he talked about, I'm gonna move 5,000 years back and sort of teleport myself at that time in that area. What do I see? What do you learn from there? I can talk to beings at that moment in time, have their perspectives, and sort of like, let's say, just if you have seen Doctor Strange, I like his movement, like, but you can like just move time forward and sort of like forward it, like fast forward, and see everything that happens. So you can connect your home to that place, and various information you can just sort of like fast forward and see if everything happened like at that point or at previous point, different perspectives, different surroundings. I would just explore from those perspectives. Okay, and also like I was saying, also what would you suggest if due to my current emotional state I can't seem to connect to my home at all? I just feel like I own my fear. That that's really good. So if you can't feel it, like too many things happening in the world affecting you currently, stressful, fear and everything else kicks in, unknowing the situation of the future and all, if you want to connect to home, start writing. Because you need to clear your head to be fully there, and sometimes it's just going to be affecting you too much. So take a journal and just start writing about it. Start writing like, okay, well, my home. And you go back into your long, big ass journal you have, Nika, and just fill out the details. Everything. Write like, well, back home, I feel like this. And you describe how liberating it feels. How like so away from this duality and everything we understand with a limited perception here. And back home, the size of everything, meeting your parents, connecting to them, how would you feel being hugged by them, talking to them, having their, affection, and how would you feel? And you just write about it in the journal. if you're here trying to focus and shift there, but the world's around you, it's affecting you too much. So you have to find how to direct your focus. And so for me, the journal or writing yourself a letter, writing like, instead of thinking about it, write the story. Like, write how, okay, I am connecting to my home. And back home, I feel like this. Back home, when I'm with my parents, and you just keep on writing the story, fill in the information and everything else for yourself. But you have direct focus. Instead of the world, direct a certain place, and you will connect to your home through there. Strat saying, I missed your question. I'm scrolling back up. What are some of the ways to find hidden, phased etheric physical implants in people's souls? My friends have started finding spikes inside us and others that limits their connection to HS. Good. For me, again, consciousness is like a dog. Give it a command. So once you want to find something, let's say I get out of body, or I visualize something and I focus on it, and I know there's something more there. There should be something, but I'm not seeing it. And I will just give myself this command, reveal the invisible. It's like you're focused on whatever you're seeing is what you're seeing, but you can always sort of turn on other filters. Well, remember, you are the God, you're the programmer. So same way you can sort of like open up a map and just turn on, look for restaurants, look for hotels, look for schools, look for stores and everything else. You can give it the command to track something specific. So that's where, open up, like, show me things I can't see. Like, show the invisible. Let me see through the things that are being hidden from me on purpose. So you give yourself a command, direct your attention and focus, and hello, dogs. There we go. Uh-oh. You shouldn't see that stuff. Come on, guys. Hi. Hey, guys. Come on, show up on the camera. Show up on the camera, big boy. Show up, who's that big boy? Yeah. See that guy, guys? That's our dogs. Oh my dog. Yeah. So there. Direct your attention, your consciousness, make it focus, and then you'll have it. Anyway, I think it's a good place for a wrap and play with my dogs and make dinner and go back to doing sessions. So hey, thank you everyone for watching, joining me. Hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll be doing more live streams. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.